Hi, everybody. This is Victor from Spoken Learning, and welcome to another session. Today, we're going to continue with episode 6 of the history of Spanish language. I have been doing this series for a while now. We have passed 5 episodes, obviously, because this is number 6. But, I just wanted to remind you before I start talking about today's topic that in Spoken Learning we provide private Spanish lessons for children and adults, even if you don't know any Spanish at all, but also if you already have some skills and you want to take it to the next level, take them to the next level. Remember, we're not tutors, we're professional teachers. You can always call our text 832-413-3166 in order to enroll. And that will be it for my part for the introduction of this video. So let's go with the topic, Spanish language history, chapter number 6. So I'm going to share with you, in this case, I have some information that even surprised me, some parts that I didn't actually know about the history of the Spanish language for the research that I've been doing for this topic. So, History of the Spanish Language, Part 6. At the beginning of this 15th century, movement started to push Spanish as well as the rest of Romance languages back and bring Latin forward as the main language of the region. Errare humanes est. This means errar es humano, which means to make mistakes is a human condition or something like that. Pero el esfuerzo fue infructuoso, sobre todo porque significaba modificar demasiado las lenguas romances, las cuales siguieron creciendo y evolucionando más aún con la inminente expansión española a las Américas. So all this effort for the groups that were not considering Spanish to be like a major language, if you want to say it like that, they proved unfruitful since they needed to modify the language too much in order to continue evolve and growing. So it was a kind of difficult thing to do, because if you could change it, even though the languages, most of them, Spanish, Portuguese, those kind of languages were still growing, at some point you will say like, well, okay, this is not working. My language sounds like a lot of effort, like you were doing too much. Something like that, you might say that was the wrong way to say it. But once again, this was happening a little bit before then Spanish came to America, to the American continent, start conquering everything. So kind of what happened. Otro momento importante antes de la expansión del Imperio Español fue la expulsión de judíos de la península, que llevaron consigo el idioma a otros lugares de Europa y el norte de África, a lo que se le denominó como el judeo español o sefardí. So another important moment in history for the Spanish language is when the Jew people were expelled from Spain, from the peninsula mostly, and they had to go to other places of Europe and north of Africa. This was called, the language that they took with them to other places, it was called Judeo-Español o Sefardí. Up to this day, you can still find some text on this language. And also, you might say that language evolved into a very recognizable language, which is called Ladino, if I'm not wrong. But Judeo-Español o Sefardí, it's another name. And they might even get to be different, like different currents or ideas from the same thing. So it was at this period that the Spanish language lost a lot of its medieval characteristics, like the aspired F, like for example in hierro. Hierro, it's a word that means iron and starts with an H. That way it's not pronounced hierro. But in the past, this F used to be like an F sound. It was called fierro. But like an aspired F. So fierro. It's really hard to pronounce, and that's one of the reasons that it was taken away instead, and it was placed an H instead of the other letter. That it sounds really weird, and actually it took me out of my place. I was thinking in something else, and another thing came in, and also the swapping of a T for a D in many words, like bondat, that became bondad, among many others. Bondad meaning like being good, kind of a thing. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, bondat sounds more like how Catalan will sound now. Bondat. Yeah. So Spanish was changing all the time. And the biggest resistance that Spanish language found was from college academy and the Christian church that prohibited the spread of sacred texts that were not in Latin, as well as the academic texts. They still consider Latin as being the language of the high hierarchy. Like if you were speaking Latin, you were a person from a really high hierarchy, respected with a lot of money. You're a well-educated person if you speak Latin in those days, of course. So that's pretty much what happened. That's why I do consider that it's really, really weird. Yeah, I would consider it like that to say that one language is superior than another because all of the languages that we speak to these days, even Chinese is not the same language that it used to be. It has changed a lot. All the languages that we speak on these days came from mixing one language with the common use. So that's how languages evolve. But to say that one language has to remain uh, apart from changes, it's taking language back to a very dark age when some of them were even forbidden. Like you're just a peasant. You have to speak those languages. But if you actually speak other languages like Latin, that means that you are from a higher hierarchy. It was a thing like status, more like an actual function of the language. You were not less of an educated person if you were not speaking Latin. But different times, different ages, and that's what happened with this kind of ideas. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm gonna leave it over here because the next step that is coming for the Spanish language is to come to the Americas. So in the next episode, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about how the Spanish language spread in the Latin America and well, in the Americas, and how that Spanish came to be a very well spread language, and the changes that the language suffered once that it entered to this territory, and how that bring many other kinds of evolution and new words that were spread back for the Spanish language. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for your attention. Before I leave, I would like to remind you that in Spoken Learning, we provide private Spanish lessons for children and adults. Even if you don't know any Spanish at all, we can totally help you. We can provide you with private Spanish lessons. We have tailored classes, different tailored classes. We can work with any age starting 5 years old. We will very much like to help you to embark on this new language and help you with this adventure. Follow us on all of the social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of them. We have all of them. You can easily follow us on over there. We are uploading daily content on every single one of them, and if even different content. So, see if you want to learn something else. Outside the classes, that's a good place to start. And thank you so much for your attention once again. My name is Victor. It was a pleasure making this short session, and I will see you next time.